I remember the first night I found the village. It was silent. To silence. The kind of silence that presses on your chest until even your heartbeat sounds wrong. The torches along the path were still burning, but flickering like they were scared of the dark themselves. The moon hung low, pale and distant, over the crooked rooftops. I thought I'd found a safe place to rest after wandering 4 days. I couldn't have been more wrong. When I entered the first house, I noticed the beds were made, the doors unlocked, food still on the tables, but no people. It was like everyone just vanished mid-sentence. I stepped outside again and called out, "Hello." My voice disappeared into the fog. There was no answer. No animals. Not even crickets. Just the wind. But it wasn't the wind. It was breathing. Slow, heavy breathing coming from somewhere near the well in the center of the square. When I approached, the sound stopped. The water in the well was black. Not just dark, but black, like ink. I dropped a torch inside. It didn't reach the bottom. It just went out. I felt cold fingers on my neck, but when I turned around, there was no one there. That was the first night. The second night, I decided to explore. I found the church, tall, cracked, leaning like it had grown tired of standing. Inside, cobwebs hung like curtains. The air was thick, heavy, hard to breathe. On the altar lay an open book, written in symbols that changed every time I blinked. But on one page, I saw something I could read. "Do not ring the bell after midnight." I looked up. The bell tower still stood, crooked but proud. The rope dangled like a noose. I told myself I wouldn't touch it. I'd just sleep, leave in the morning. But then the wind shifted. It carried a sound, faint, distant, children laughing. It came from the tower. I climbed the stairs. Every step creaked like bones breaking. The air grew colder with every meter I climbed. At the top, the bell waited for me, covered in dust and something darker. My hand trembled as I reached out. I didn't mean to pull the rope. It just happened. The sound that came out wasn't a chime. It was a scream. The ground below shuddered. The fog thickened until I couldn't see my own hands. And then, through that fog, shapes began to move. Tall, thin, twisted. Their faces were wrong, stretched, frozen. As if they were halfway through a scream that never ended. They moved toward the church. I stumbled down the stairs, tripping, scraping my hands. The door slammed shut before I reached it. I was trapped inside. Then the bell rang again, by itself. The floor cracked open. From the gap, a black liquid began to pour out, crawling like it was alive. It reached the altar, soaked the book, and the letters started glowing red. One sentence burned itself into my mind. The one who rings will never leave. When I woke up, it was morning. Or at least, I thought it was. The sun was pale, washed out, like it didn't dare shine too bright. The villagers were back, standing still, all round me, watching. Their eyes were white, their mouths unmoving. I stepped closer to one. He smiled, slow, unnatural. "Welcome back," he whispered. And they all vanished. Just gone. The air was still. The crops outside were dead. The water in the river unmoving. The bell tower loomed behind me, casting a shadow longer than it should. I started running, but the paths kept twisting. The forest wasn't where it used to be. No matter which direction I went, I always ended up at the same square, staring at that same well. I tried breaking blocks. The ground rebuilt itself. I tried placing torches. They went out instantly. I tried logging off. The screen flickered but didn't close. The game didn't want to end. That night, I saw movement near the houses. I thought maybe a real villager survived. I followed the light of a lantern to a small hut at the edge of the village. The door creaked open by itself. Inside, a figure was kneeling in front of a crafting table. Its head turned slowly toward me. Too slowly. Its skin looked like it had been burned and cooled into cracked stone. The eyes were hollow. "Do you want to leave?" it asked. I nodded. It pointed toward the bell tower. "Then silence it." I turned to leave, but when I looked back, the figure was gone. Only a piece of paper lay on the table, with a drawing of the bell and 3 red marks underneath. I didn't understand it then, but I do now. Each mark was a soul. The last night, the fog never lifted. The air hummed with something alive. Every door in the village was open. Every window shattered. The bell was still ringing, over and over, but I hadn't touched it. I climbed the tower again, slower this time. The stairs were wet. Something was dripping from above. When I reached the top, I saw that the bell wasn't metal anymore. It was flesh. Pulsing. Breathing. I raised my sword, ready to destroy it. But then I heard voices, thousands of them, whispering my name. They came from the well, from the houses, from under the ground. The bell screamed again, and I saw faces inside it. Faces of villagers, all fused together, mouths open wide, begging for silence. I swung my sword. The sound that came out wasn't a bell anymore. It was a cry. The village went dark. I woke up again. Same fog, same moon. My hunger bar was low. My health flickered. The world had reset, but something was wrong. My skin looked paler. My hands trembled on their own, and when I looked in the reflection of the well water, the face staring back wasn't mine anymore. It smiled when I didn't. From far away, the bell rang once, and I heard the whisper again. The one who rings will never leave. Now I understand what that figure meant. I silenced the bell, but in doing so, I took its place. So if you ever find a village with no villagers, and you hear a bell ringing in the distance, leave. Don't look back. Don't try to explore, because I'll be there, waiting, watching, and if you hear the bell a second time, it's already too late. Days don't pass here, or maybe they do, but the sun never changes. It hangs there, frozen in the sky, bleeding faint light over roofs that crumble slower than they should. The fog doesn't move anymore, it just breathes with the sound of the bell. Sometimes I hear them whispering inside the houses. Sometimes I see shadows moving through the windows. But there are no doors anymore. No walls. The village keeps rebuilding itself differently every night. Like it's trying to remember what it used to be. I keep walking. Every path leads back to the well. Every path. Once, I tried digging under it. I thought maybe I could find where the whispers came from, but after digging a few blocks deep, the ground turned to flesh, warm, moving, breathing. It whispered my name again, and I understood. The village was alive. It wasn't haunted. It was feeding. Every soul that entered it became part of it. I don't know how long I've been here. My food never runs out, but I don't feel hunger anymore. I don't take damage, but I bleed when the bell rings. My reflection has started to move before I do. It stares at me from every puddle, every window, every piece of glass. Sometimes, when the fog gets thin enough, I can see the world beyond. Players building, laughing, exploring, and I scream, but my voice doesn't reach them. They hear its sound. The bell tolls again, and with every toll, the world outside grows dimmer. I've tried destroying everything, burning houses, breaking the well, digging straight down, but the world resets itself every time I close my eyes. The only thing that never changes is the sound. That damned bell. It doesn't just ring, it calls. It calls to players, to wanderers, to anyone who's curious enough to step into the mist. That's how it spreads. The curse doesn't move, it waits. It waits for you. And now it's waiting again. I can feel it. Someone new has joined. I hear footsteps that aren't mine. A torch lights up at the edge of the fog. I can't see who it is yet, but I know how it starts. They'll find the well. They'll find the book. They'll hear the warning, and they won't listen. Just like I didn't. The bell rings one last time. The fog folds in on itself, swallowing the village whole. I see the houses sink into the earth. The trees bend, the sky crack open, light floods through for a second, and then it's gone. All of it. Only darkness remains. I open my eyes. A path. A torch. The faint sound of footsteps behind me. It starts again. Final whisper. If you hear the bell, don't stay. Don't search for where it comes from, because the village doesn't exist until you find it. And once you do, it will never let you go. It's been, I don't know how long. Time doesn't pass here. It loops. The moon rises, the fog breathes, the bell rings, and I walk. Every night, the same path. Every night, the same sounds. But something is changing. The bell sounds weaker now, more distant, like it's calling from another world. Sometimes I wonder if it's tired too. Maybe even curses can die. A few nights ago, I found something new. Beyond the forest, a house. Not one of the old village houses, but newer. Its walls were clean, its torches burning steady, and on the door was a sign. The keeper's cabin. Inside, everything looked normal. Chests, crafting table, bed. But when I opened the first chest, it was empty except for one item. A bell fragment. It pulsed faintly, like it still remembered ringing. When I picked it up, my screen flickered. For a split second, I saw my old world, my base, my farm, my animals. Then it was gone. But that moment gave me hope. Maybe I could fix this. Maybe I could find a way out. I searched the cabin for clues. On the wall hung a map of the village, except this one was different. There were tunnels drawn beneath it, deep beneath the well, and in the corner, a note scratched in red ink. Find the root, destroy it, or become it. The next night, I went back to the well. I started digging again, this time deeper, ignoring the whispers, ignoring the moving earth. The deeper I went, the louder the bell became. Not ringing, but breathing. At the bottom, I found a chamber. The walls were made of stone and bone. The floor was covered with hundreds of villager heads, their eyes still open. In the center stood a massive bell, carved from the same black flesh as before. But this one was alive. Its surface pulsed like a heartbeat, and from it, chains stretched out into the darkness, connecting to the ground above, to every house, every soul, every echo. I heard voices again, whispers overlapping until they became one. We were you. I realized then, every person who ever found this village had become part of it. The bell wasn't cursed. It was feeding. It needed us to survive. The chains began to tighten. I tried to run, but the ground opened under me. Hands, hundreds of hands, reached out, pulling me down, dragging me toward the bell. I screamed. And then, silence. When I opened my eyes again, I was standing in the middle of the village. The fog was gone. The sun was shining. The villagers were walking around, trading, talking, like nothing had ever happened. For a moment, I thought I was free. But then I noticed their faces. Every single villager had my face, my voice, my movements. When I tried to speak, they all spoke with me, perfectly in sync. And when the bell rang, they all stopped moving. The world froze, except for me. And I finally understood what the root was. It wasn't underground. It was me. Now, I can feel the world spreading again. Through the fog, through the servers, through every player who stumbles across the wrong seed. It starts small. A strange village, a missing bell sound, a few chunks that don't load properly. Then the fog comes. Then the whispers. And soon, another one will ring the bell. Sometimes I see their names appear in the air. New players joining. Steve_03, Lunacraft, Alex. Their footsteps echo through the fog, searching, exploring. They never realize how close they are. I watch them. From the shadows, from the windows, from the water in the well. I want to warn them. I try to, but the curse twists my words. All I can whisper is the same phrase that doomed me. Do not ring the bell after midnight. But they always do. And every time they do, the world resets again. New faces, new fog, same silence. Sometimes I wonder if this is still a game. Maybe it never was. Maybe Minecraft was just a door, and I walked through it. The bell rings once more. The screen flickers. The world rebuilds. I can see you now. You're
Standing at the edge of the forest, looking toward the village. You're holding a torch. You're wondering why it's so quiet. Don't come any closer, please. If you hear the bell, it's already too late.